Hey guys, it's Jessica. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. I'm glad you're here. I'm having so much fun interviewing these businesses, and I really think you'll find the information we share to be of great value. My business is Organic Girl Health Coaching, and I get to help moms go from not feeling so good to feeling amazing. We do this with using food and herbs. We're detoxing, we're cleansing at the cellular level. If you have any questions, you can reach out on my website, jessicadavisrn.com, or through social media. I am Organic Girl Health Coaching. Have a blessed day. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Organic Girl Health Coaching podcast, where we help holistic-minded moms find businesses that align with them. I'm Jessica. This is my friend Emmy. So we go back a few years, probably about 3 years. Mm-hmm. We met at the Kansas City Wellness Club, beautiful place, and just a great place to be during the COVID time for a lot of us. A lot of great friendships have formed from that community, I believe. Yeah. And so I have a special relationship with everybody I have on my podcast, and this one with Emmy has just been great. And we've done things outside of the club now and have just deepened our relationship. And she is an amazing person. We've both been developing these past few years, but I love watching her and what she's doing and love supporting her in her business. And so as we do on the Organic Girl Health Coaching podcast, we talk about the 3 B's: your bio, your beliefs, and your business. So Emmy, just start telling us all about you.
First and foremost, gratitude. Always, Jess. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking me to be on this amazing podcast. Like, helping moms find businesses that they align with. Like, you are the middle woman, and like, genius, just freaking genius, stroke of genius. So thank you for creating this and for inviting me into it. Yes, so much gratitude. As far as a little bit about myself, so I really consider myself a guide. I'm a transformational healer. I'm a mentor. Officially, as of 2 weeks ago, I'm a published author. And most importantly, I'm a steward. You know, I'm the creator of Rippled Vibrations, which is a suite of group programs for what I call bosses, beings of sacred service, to radically expand their prosperity consciousness, to connect and detox their bodies, their emotions, and spirituality, specifically through the means of living water, to really enter into a more hydrated, a more conscious way of doing business and frankly, life, because it's such a parallel, right? Like, both are a creative process. Like, we are creating our life and we create in business. And, you know, it was after creating my first 6-figure business in the world of insurance and financial planning at the ripe age of 26 that I knew I needed to hydrate the way that I did things. I quite literally developed cancer on the right side of my body because my masculine, my go was so much in overdrive. And so it was a very clear wake-up call. And so now, as a steward of Mama Earth, a steward of the body, money, I'm really passionate about bringing people to their next standard of operating. And it's literally like, that's the ripple effect of how we create an entirely new reality for this beautiful planet that we call Mama Earth. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it. And yeah, with the hydration, and I know you'll get into it more, but you know, as a health coach and gut health coach, I mean, it's a huge piece. And I've found in myself, when you're not hydrated, your body's not functioning as it should be. And then your mind's not functioning. As you mentioned, you're not able to have those creative moments, that higher consciousness, even connecting to your higher self, because you're kind of constipated, right? Yeah. In a way, if you want to even see it as that. So yeah, Yeah.
I think that's so funny because when people first start, so the water that we're referring to, it's called electrolyzed reduced water. You may have heard it as living water, hydrogen
Mm.
rich water, but essentially it's water that's been electrocuted. So it's literally mimicking a lightning bolt that shocks a body of water in nature, minus the air pollution, minus the soil pollution, right? And so it's so funny that you bring up constipation because so many people, myself included, when we first start drinking it, we go through a little bit of a detox, like our body does.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is like everyone comments on how it regulates their stools. Like they just come out more
Yeah.
consistent, more fluid, and just like sturdier, if that makes sense. So it really just like speaks to the level of like how much dehydration can literally block us physically and then energetically as well in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, if all that stuff, and I'm a nurse too, so nothing is TMI for me, right? But all that stuff stuck in your colon, it is affecting your mental health, your behavioral health. I mean, we know that, and so just being able to clean out the body, and not just with plain old water, that even if you're doing reverse osmosis or distilled, we need those electrolytes. We need all the minerals in there, right? Not just the plain water, because that can actually pull the minerals from our body. So I think it's interesting. Water has become a kind of a difficult topic. It shouldn't have been. Maybe 1,000 years it wasn't, but now it is in our day and age. And so I appreciate you and the work that you're doing with
Mhm.
with that specifically. So
Thank you. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. And what's beautiful is like the more like this type of water calls people. Like you don't call it, it calls you. Like there's something that like your ears will perk if you're listening to this and you're like, maybe that's a crock of shit, or like, I'm my interest is piqued, right? Like if there's some type of reaction, it means the water is calling you. And so I was the type of gal ever since whoa ever since college when I was a fitness instructor, I was chugging a gallon of water per day. So I'm like, cool, I'm
mhm.
hydrated, I'm healthy, I'm movement, I'm active, I'm vital, like all the good things. And
Mhm.
um it wasn't until I started really diving into my relationship with this water that I
Yeah.
realized the level of consciousness living water brings.
Mm.
And I mean, from the way that it's structured, how that communicates the bonds, the hydrogen bonds that we have in our lives to those around us, or um, the way that the fact that it is structured water, structure is masculine, water is feminine, right? So there's the
Oh.
blend there. Oh, girl, it goes deep. Or like yeah, the way that the hydrogen molecules attach or don't attach, and how that is so symbolic of our attachment to money, even, especially if you choose to do the
Mm.
business side of it, right? Like what is like
Mm.
for me, I realized, holy shit, I had such an anxious attachment to money. And then when I went down that route, that that level of consciousness, because consciousness expands in all directions, right? And so when I
Yeah.
realized that there was an anxious attachment with money, it made me realize, oh, well, that actually stems from my father wound, and how there's an anxious attachment from there, and kind of the level of neglect and um, emotional neglect more than anything, or lack of protection, because he wasn't really standing in his masculine, when I was
Yeah.
younger. And so literally all of this generational healing that I'm getting,
Ugh.
not only physically in the body, because I'm actually more receptive because of the water, but then the emotional aspect, because I'm doing the inner work just from being introduced to living water. um and then the other piece that I wanted to say on that, ooh, give me 1 second. Oh, I just wanted to speak into like the physical and how it kind of relates to the emotional healing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you're drinking microclustered, which just means small water molecules, your body is actually absorbing the water. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Most water, the body only absorbs about, I think it's 25 to 37%. I don't remember. But then when you're drinking microclustered, it's in the 90% absorption rate. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
So what's happening is it's actually crossing, because the water molecules are so small, it's able to cross the blood-brain barrier.
Oh, yeah.
Means it's getting into the cells, which means it's getting into the brain, which means what is our brain in charge of? It's in charge of our endocrine system, our hormone regulation. And so
Mm-hmm.
if we're not able to like have regular hormone regulation, then all the emotional work, like, is like you won't be able to get as deep as you really truly can,
Sure.
right? And
You
so
can get somewhere, but yeah, not as deep.
totally. So it's just like that next level. If you're
Yeah.
like somebody who is just like me, where I'm just constantly stretching my edges, like I want to explore and expand and like die to be born again. Like this is the level of depth that living water brings into the life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. I love it. Just how the water can itself heal and expand our consciousness. I mean, you can talk about that on so many different levels. So that's beautiful.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So anything else, how in the world did you come into getting this business from insurance and, like a more of a money side and I'm assuming more like 9 to 5 job, or was it your own business that you had in insurance?
Oh
And
yeah, it was
okay.
definitely my own franchise, if you will. So
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
I am somebody who does really well, like, so I'm a projector in human design, and something that we're really good at is systems and
Mm,
actually uh like making the current systems more efficient. So like taking the square and turning it into a wheel, if you will. So for me, insurance, like I partnered with a company that provided the products
mhm.
and the training, which fantastic training and the outline and the
Awesome.
structure, but then it was 100% commission. And so it really was up to me to make my revenue, my income. And
Yeah.
so that was down in Texas. That was a whole journey in and of itself. And forever, no, that's not okay, since college, I would say I had the recognition that other people had constantly been telling me about my ambition, and I like literally had to ask, like, what does ambition mean? What is it, like, I don't understand.
Mhm.
And it's because my teachers would see me like going from this job to babysitting to getting like doing a work study, so I would get paid to study essentially because there was never enough work to be done, you know what I mean? So very strategic with my money, my income. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you've got this figured out." And I'm like, "Do I?" And so the fact that I then dove into insurance and financial planning, specifically for retirees, it was
Mhm.
so in alignment, but I had no idea at the time because I grew up broke as fuck. Like literally my dad stopped working when I was in 6th grade because of a hunting accident where he shattered his heel and he needed 6 surgeries. And so it really put a lot of pressure on my mom to be the provider of the family. And
Wow.
unfortunately, due to my dad's addictions, both with alcohol pre-surgery and then opioids during post-op, like
Mhm.
my mom really had to step up into that. And so
Yeah.
we like there was just never enough money. They were constantly arguing in front of my brother and I about not having money, or no, we can't do that because it costs money, or like no, you can't get that because it costs money, right? Like just the typical like started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yep. Yep.
And all the stuff that I was learning during my training in insurance and financial planning, I was like, this is revolutionizing generational wealth. This is how like the buck stops here. This is how my children will never have to worry about money, or their
Yeah.
nervous systems will never have to worry about money. They can always
Yeah.
be learning about money.
Yes.
And so I just fucking ran with it, and I learned how to strategize for myself and my clients, of course, because that's a huge responsibility. Like God placed me
Yes, it
here,
is.
And like I'm messing with, I'm influencing people's retirements. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna have
Mhm.
that on my consciousness of like, if shit hits the fan, they're gonna go under. So it was my
Mhm.
duty. So when you say, is it a 9 to 5? Absolutely no. I was working 80 to 90 hours the first
Oh my
several
goodness.
months, just between studying and learning new things, and then getting certified, and then door knocking, and then learning the sales process, and then learning closing, and then finding people. Like, all of it really is massive. And so, yeah, needless to say, like, my energy was just buzzing, and this was from an
Mhm.
environment 18 hours from home, family.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so that is like, no matter the amount of yoga, no matter the amount of pranic healing or meditation that I did, like, my nervous system, like, literally my energy was buzzing. It was vibrating all around me for the first probably year and
Mhm.
a half straight. Because I was just so, it was a shock to the nervous system. Like, all the newness and responsibility was very new.
Mhm.
And so, all that to say, like, I realized all of my me kind of died, but not in a good way. The me that loves nature, the me that
Mhm.
needs movement, the me that needs dance, like, all of that was pushed to the side because I was in such survival and fear and scarcity. I literally, like, my fourth month in, I made $180, and I was just sobbing, like, I don't know where I'm gonna eat. I don't
Mhm.
know how I'm gonna pay for gas to door knock to then make money. Like, it was a lot. And so, fast forward, I moved to Kansas City, still with the same company for a couple years, and then, just again, divine intervention, things just kind of fell through.
Ah.
So after about 5 years in the business, that's when I found the wellness club, and that's when it was really my
Mhm.
year or year and a half of rest and recovery. And so much so that, like, literally my house flooded from an Airbnb guest. My door got knocked down in Mexico on a work trip. I got a concussion. I had eye surgery. So, like, literally God was saying, fucking rest, bitch. Like, stay down.
Right, exactly.
Sleep.
Not in a subtle way either.
I can be pretty stubborn, so God has to be pretty loud sometimes.
It sounds like it.
I'm getting much better at that, what I'm realizing, which is cool. Yeah, yeah, that's so funny. Threw my back out like 5 times, so I had to, like, rely on friends to take care of me, which, whew, that was a journey of receiving in general.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
but it was in that spaciousness, so I stepped away from creating money, creating my business, to then just, like, I just inserted myself so that I could literally have the bandwidth to heal. And then that's
Yeah.
when I've discovered that I had cancer, and, like, again, divine, like, I just, a beauty mark or birthmark looked interesting. It just felt funny. Uh,
Mhm.
and I decided to go in and found out it was malignant melanoma. We scooped it out. We're all
Mhm.
good. It was still terrifying to be diagnosed, but that was just kind of like the aha moment of, like, it was such a beautiful paradigm because, as I'm going through that, I discovered that I had malignant melanoma 5 days before I left for Mexico, a different Mexico trip that was business, but then also we had like a psychedelic ceremony planned.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, it was combo and bufo, which are two different toad medicines,
Right,
and
right.
one of which, you actually, your skin gets burned for combo, and then they, like, glob the poison on there, and then it's a purgative, and la la la. And so I'm looking at my 2 legs after I get home from Mexico, one of which has this hole from the cancer on my right side, my
Mhm.
masculine side, and then the other leg, the left side, has these dots of combo that is literally welcoming. Like, the entire message of that journey was, trust is power. Trust
Okay.
is power. And
Yeah.
the intention was, like, yeah, welcoming ease and flow and surrender, right? Like, welcoming my feminine that had been so stifled for so long.
Oh,
So I'm looking at these
yeah.
beautiful legs just juxtaposition, right? This beautiful juxtaposition as I'm laying on, like, the bright green carpet of grass in my backyard. And I was like, this was so fucking divine. Like,
Wow.
it was so
No kidding.
massive. And so, um, yeah, sorry that this is a little bit longer just to get, like, how did you find the water? 45 minutes later.
It is a beautiful story. I love it. It's just so inspiring and just beautiful. I love it. I love
Okay,
it.
good. So yes, so that was back in 2021. And then start of 2022, January, is when I had gotten the third strain of COVID. And this is where all my friends who got it before me said that the post COVID fatigue and depression was really loud with this one. And quite frankly, one of my good friends at the time had her post COVID fatigue slash depression for 8 months after she was asymptomatic. And so I'm laying in
Hmm.
my bed with COVID at about 2.5 weeks, and I start feeling this depression slash fatigue set in. And I'm just like, there's no way, like, absolutely not. This is not an option to go down this road. Like,
Mhm.
depression lives in my lineage, and I've had it. I have depressional bouts because I'm such a deep feeler, but like for 8 months, I'm
Mhm.
not willing to go there. And so luckily, coincidentally, I had met a woman a month and a half prior to that made one side comment about this magic water, and that was it. Like, she didn't try to sell me. She didn't say anything about the effects. I didn't do any research. I didn't feel called to. But after she said it, I started seeing it pop up on my social media a little bit more from other
Mm.
people that weren't mutual friends, right? So I'm like, okay, this is getting in my vortex. This is very clear,
Yep.
right? Like, Kangen water keeps coming up. So I'm just like, I'm sitting back in my observer deck and I'm like, okay,
Yep.
just witnessing. So boom, laying in bed, COVID ridden, and I just keep hearing as I'm like half lucid, half alive, right? You need the water. Get the water,
Hmm.
you need the water, get the water. And from because of my experience with cancer where I looked at my birthmark and felt something was off, I knew to get it. I knew to listen to the whisper, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so because I was hearing the whisper of the water, I texted the woman and I was like, "Hey, I need to try this. I need to try the water." And let
Mhm.
me tell you, by that weekend, so about 3 weeks into having COVID, she came over and we started a water trial. And my
Mhm.
first half gallon, I was jumping up my stairs. I was dancing in my room. I did 3 weeks worth of laundry. Remember, I hadn't moved in almost a month. And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I have all this like woo girl energy, right? Like, back in action, baby. And intuitively, the again, no research. I wanted my body to be my research so that any of the research
Yeah.
that I found was validation rather than information. And
Yeah.
so as I'm drinking
Very good.
it and jumping, I just kept seeing in my third eye a lightning bolt. And I'm just like,
Mm-mm.
okay. And like my cells are literally screaming, more, feed me. Just like jumping up and down, which is what I feel when I juice. I make fresh juice as well.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
as I did the research, I realized it's electrically charged water
Yeah.
that mimics a lightning bolt in nature. I'm like, holy shit. So it was like right away, I
Okay.
was like, damn, there's no turning back. Like, once you go up in a standard of living, right? Like, once you start buying
Yeah.
organic or once you start buying all natural, like, you can't go to synthetic, right? And that's what
Correct.
this water is. It's basically like the most natural, organic way of drinking water. Like, quite literally, Kangen translates to return to origin in Japanese,
Okay.
going back to
Okay.
your original state of being, your homeostasis,
Okay.
your home state.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So then, to continue answering your question, I had no intention of having a business at all because I was already working
Mhm.
at a
Mhm.
wellness club as a sales manager, loving it. Like, felt really good to not have to fucking try so hard, like, it felt good.
Yeah. Yeah.
A couple months into um, just drinking it and learning about it and like tapping into the community, then I was like, okay,
Mhm.
the woman who sold me, she's like, you're so natural at business, like, you're so natural at connecting and healing and speaking to people and speaking
Mm.
forth and casting vision. She's like, you got to do this. And it was that little nudge, like, that was just a
Aw.
I was like, all right, well, let's do this. So then I just kind of went for it. And it's
Yeah.
it's very similar to the insurance industry where like the company already exists, or like real estate, right? Like, the company already exists. It's just you get to be the one sharing the message, sharing the mission,
Yeah.
sharing the wisdom. And so, yeah, very, very good for people who are natural connectors, who are health conscious, who are
Yeah.
creatives, who like to be stretched and moving and digging deeper to work through the expansions. Like, I really view entrepreneurship as the spiritual path, it's the creative path. It's
It is.
It's a healing journey. It's literally a psychedelic healing journey, sober.
Yeah. Yeah. I found that as well, just starting my business entrepreneur journey, that I thought it'd, be quick and easy and I'd figure out how to do the business and that was it. And yeah, that's
Damn.
4 years later.
It's literally a
four
life.
years,
Like it is a
and
lifestyle.
and 2 deaths later, I've been through two, like
Hmm.
ego death experiences, and so yeah, it's an interesting thing. But with okay, so holistic minded moms, talk to the moms who were maybe just finding out, oh, we shouldn't drink tap water, maybe we shouldn't give tap water to the kids, you know and again, like I said earlier, it's kind of a confusing subject
Mhm.
when you're just learning these things, right? So what do you usually tell people who are just coming out of the shift of learning that the tap water isn't the best thing, and all these different chemicals that they're putting in there? Maybe it's fear driven, whatever, but
Sure.
how do you usually talk to those?
Um, yeah, well, I think the image that comes to mind is a hierarchy. Okay. And I was in nursing school. I don't know if you ever knew that, but I was in nursing school and my best friends were nurses as well. And so it's
Mhm.
so crazy the amount of feedback that I get about the TAP system, even just from them. They're like, "Oh yeah, we threw like birth control and medication down our my mom flushes medication down the toilet, right? Or throw them down the drain." And so just recognizing that even our toilet water is connected to our drinking pipes, right? Like it's one big circular ecosystem. And so that's what we're drinking and absorbing. So tap is literally at the bottom of the hierarchy. So then people start figuring this out. Okay, great. Great. Each level of awareness, there's a deepening. And so what's the next move?
Sure.
Get some type of filtration. Ideally, not just a Brita, like get like something like a multi-pure or a reverse osmosis. That's a great pre-filter. But some type
Mhm.
of filtration system to start getting the extra shit out. Remembering, as you mentioned earlier, to remineralize. I personally like to use sea moss when I have it, but you can honestly
Okay.
buy minerals off like online to just put in your water, but some type of filtration system. And then the next is to get the electrical current. So the top of the
Mhm.
hierarchy is electrolyzed reduced water. And why is that? It's because the electrical current is where the healing aspect comes from. Okay, so if
Okay.
you've ever heard of the Fountain of Youth or
Mhm.
the blue zones, so the Fountain of Youth is where people go for healing. It's anti-aging water. Blue
Mhm.
zones are where like the most centenarians live. So like
Mhm.
Okinawa, Japan is one of them, and that's
Yep.
actually where Kangen originates from.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because there is the electrical current, the negative ions in the water. And so
Okay.
the negative ions, also known as electrons, right? The electrical current. If you're familiar with like grounding, you walk barefoot on the
Mhm.
earth to get Mama Earth's electrons or negative ions.
Mhm.
So now
Mhm.
it's gotten to the technology brings that inside our body, not just underneath our feet. And we get it
Okay.
through drinking the negative ions. So that's why when I tell you people have this isn't medical claims, this is not claiming anything, but in my direct community of people who are on the water, my mom's arthritis is going away. My COVID
Mm.
disappeared. My IBS went away. So
Mhm.
many of my friends got off of their Adderall medication, their blood pressure medication. My friend's mom's calcification on her shoulder, she couldn't go past 90 degrees, and now she has total range of motion.
Wow.
My friend who sold me the machine, her PMS symptoms went away. Her pregnancy symptoms were almost non-existent. She just had a baby about a year.
Aw.
Yeah. And my other friend's mom's Crohn's disease and arthritis and what's the other one she had has all subsided from this water. And I
Okay.
mean, there's just literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of testimonies. It's because of the electrical current, the hydrogen, the negative ions. That's what makes it
Mm-hmm.
healing. And so that's what makes it like kind of top tier at the hierarchy.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Because again, it can be scary as a mom who's just finding these things out and then wanting to do the best thing for her kids. And so with this podcast, I'm trying to put out there the best information, trying to help you guys out with learning and learning quicker than I did, because I went through, my oldest is 26 and I feel like I'm just now ready to have kids. So I
Mm.
told my kids, like, okay, I've learned enough now at this point. Can I
Can I have a
redo
movie,
this?
please?
Yeah,
Sorry, babes.
I think I'm ready to be a kid or a mom now.
That's so
I think I know
real,
enough.
Jess. And like, let's speak
So,
into that. The fact that you literally bought one of these machines for your kids, like, that's
and grandkids. Yeah.
huge. That's
Yeah.
like, it's real when you want to supply your kids with the best, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I want them, I don't think that we have to struggle in this life. I think that's a shift that needs to happen.
Mm.
Um, that we don't have to struggle. I think that we're here to enjoy, to feel the fullness, and so what if we have kids and we're raising kids and grandkids that don't struggle? That's beautiful. They
Mm.
have so much more creative energy than, like you mentioned, when you're drinking the water and eating organic, and you don't have that fight or flight every single day because mom and dad are struggling or there's fighting. Can you imagine a world where you didn't have all that and you're just creating and creating and creating all the time? It's a beautiful thing. So
That's so
yeah.
wild because I'm literally in that place right now in this season of my life where right before this I was filling out my water and I realized like holy shit, I'm not in survival, I'm in creation. So I'm at this point, this precipice right now where I have a decision to make and it feels like one of those like life altering decisions, right? And it's like, do I repeat a pattern with new consciousness to close a loop, or do I choose the opposite knowing what my vision is, right? Or do I just not even
Yeah.
entertain that or explore that path, right? And when I was realizing, again, going back to anxious attachment, I have this innate
Mhm.
problem solver in me that like when there's a problem, I need it solved right now. I need to make a decision right now. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize for the longest time that that is actually my anxious attachment because I can't. It was unnerving to sit in the unknown.
Sure.
And as I'm really deepening my spiritual path, which is that of trust is power,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
realizing like, oh shit, I don't have to make a decision on this. Literally, like time will tell.
Well.
Something will be unfolding, and
Hmm.
to transfer from anxious to secure, like this is just another embodiment practice of regulating my nervous system of what secure attachment feels like. Like feels like space. It feels like, hey, it's going to be resolved when it needs to be resolved. And what I'm
Hmm.
realizing is it's not anxiety anymore that I feel, it's inspiration, it's creation.
Oh.
Right, like it's going, yes, anxiety to creation. And this is where I literally get to like I'm in communication of curiosity, right? Instead of like, well,
Hmm.
why did this show up? Why isn't it just what I wanted or what I asked for point blank, right? Like there was a lot of victim in my way of life in my anxious
Hmm.
attachment, like why
Yep.
me, what am I supposed to do, why did this even come to me, right? Whereas now it's just like I'm so curious like what this is coming, like what is coming and what is teaching me, like is it this lesson, is it this lesson, or is it the secure attachment lesson, you know what I mean? Like, and it's
Yeah.
all good because
Yeah.
it's all healing me.
It's all good. It's all good.
To have joy about it instead of like almost this resentfulness that I've had making decisions in
Mm.
the past. It feels really nourishing. One of my money coaches, she actually talks about like the way that you are when making decisions is your next wealth identity, because more money equals more decisions. So who
Yeah.
are you in the decision making process? And I'm like, I'm a secure motherfucker. Like,
That's right.
dang, like I am
Bring it
doing
on. Bring on the decisions.
Literally, and it doesn't have to be a immediate decision, which is so wild
Yeah.
because I always thought like
Yeah.
money loves speed or success loves speed, which is true, but it's actually in the slowing down that we speed up, right? The flow
Actually, yeah.
is smooth and smooth is what's fast.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Mm.
So, how can people get a hold of you, whether they're wanting to learn more about the living water, whether they're wanting to learn more about the business? What's the best way to start working with you in one capacity or another?
Yeah, totally. I would also just like, I'd love to welcome, like, if you feel like you're somebody who loves the deep expansion process of life, if you're a
Mm-hmm.
creative individual, if you are somebody who believes that prosperity belongs in the hands of those who lead with love rather than control, then let's do it. If you're looking for like more of like a team environment to like let's fucking run together, like that's those are you're going to do very well, right? If you're the connector, the pioneer, the creative, the leader, the entrepreneurial spirit, all of those archetypes, like those are my people.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to get a hold of me is going to be through Instagram right now. So that's rippled
Okay.
underscore vibrations. And then if you're specifically wanting to learn just about the water, I would encourage you to go to rippledvibrations.love. And then that'll give you more on like the energy and negative ions and all the good things that comes with the water alone.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, any closing remarks, my friend,
Mm,
on life, business, beauty?
yeah, I really like it's so my vision is so loud right now of like money follows our direction. So we lead, money follows, not the other way around, which means that we are the value. Quite literally, like if all of the humans in the world disappeared, what would happen to a dollar bill over time? It would disintegrate, right? Which tells us we are the value. We vote with our
Yeah.
with our dollars. And so I just I can't help but remind people that as you're developing this leadership and deepening your relationship with money, just remember that money, you don't need the money. Money needs to be in your hands when you're leading with love. Money needs those who lead with love, not control. Always, always,
Beautiful.
always. All that to say, if you are a heart led individual, a service led heart, you deserve to have copious amounts of money if that's something that you desire. And it's possible.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Thank you again, Emmy. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
Mm.